Okay. Hi, welcome to Pantheon, a history of art from the streets of New York. We're here at the Bridges Hotel in Midtown, and welcome to the discussion panel. And this is made possible by our partner, Watch It Too, where you're watching it, where it's being streamed, and Cultural Shock Marketing. And we have Deborah Anderson here, and also the Hilton Hotel. So thank you, and welcome.
So why don't you both introduce yourselves, Daniel and Joyce, co-curators of Pantheon NYC, and explain the overall concept behind why you curated this exhibition. Give us an overview of that, and we'd also love to know about the Kickstarter campaign and the kind of grassroots element to how this all came together.
My name is Daniel Farrell. I'm one of the co-curators. The theme behind the show was just to create a large exhibit that's a history of art from the streets of New York City. So we contacted a lot of our friends and expanded out from there and managed to get a lot of guys from the 70s, from the 80s, from the 90s, and really flesh out the history. And we've done it in a chronological line from the early 70s through now. Each decade is represented by a couple artists, and then there's a lot in the millennium era. Thank you.
And as part of the theme for Pantheon, really wanted to create a show that was more than just another street art show, and we were trying to delve into the historical elements of it, as well as the interactive elements, and also we wanted to engage the crowd and to find out what everyone else thought about where this movement is today, because we were not sure either where things are. So, the artist, I guess we could talk about the artist.
A couple of the earlier artists that we have are LSD Ohm. He was one of the first writers that's on record from '69 who had been writing. He was also friends with Freedom, one of the other earliest graffiti writers, and he ended up being a historian and archivist. He's got a huge collection of materials and manages websites for people. But his main thing that he did was he created the Freedom Tunnel, and he was painting down in a tunnel uptown on the west side. Very beautiful work, probably the first street installation as gallery, or even a museum that was that impressive for me was painting. And moving on from that, we've got Richard Hamilton. He did the Shadow Men in the 70s. Again, very powerful shadow figures, kind of creating a creepy feeling that called attention to the decay in Manhattan at the time. Which also John Fechner, he's an activist, and he used stencils to bring attention also to the decay in the community, stenciling on buildings.
So overall, we have 33 artists that have participated, and there's a 907 crew is made up of 6 artists, and they've created a collaborative piece. So all in all, there's 26 pieces in the show, and it's located on 53rd Street between 5th and 6th, and there are mounted on movable walls, and there's about 5 to 6 pieces on each wall.
Just to cover some of the other artists from the new millennium, there's people like Cassius Fowler, Over Under, Cake, Two Fly. There's a lot of up and coming, a lot of very young people, and I think that's really exciting also, because we can find out more where a lot of things are heading and going at this time in terms of the movement and the aesthetics and people's interpretation of what it means.
Could you also describe some of the kinetic pieces that are in the installation?
A guy named Voodoo, he's a sculptor also, and he created an infinity sculpture basically that was built out of a bike. And bike culture is very important within this culture due to the alternative green aspect of the culture. And created a very beautiful sculpture that's got two wheels, creates an infinity symbol that just keeps spinning infinitely.
And the other piece that we have is the Stanley Cup by John Fechner and Don Light. And it's a really interesting piece because it almost looks like a stencil kit, but it's made out of brass stencils that is adhered and I guess it's now it's not shellac, but
some kind of heavy
it's
resin.
it's heavy, yeah, it's the resin, and it's rotating on a lazy Susan in the space. And when you see it, you can see the elements of it. There's different words on the sides and the different sides of the suitcase, and also inside it says work and sweat. So this project was a lot about working and sweating with everyone. So we appreciate that piece. And this is we have another piece, but it's not a kinetic sculpture, but it's more of it's actually a light box by Droid from 907, and it's a somewhat of a religious piece, but it all works together with their full collaboration. And the name of the piece is 907 is an inside joke.
It's a pretty incredible piece. It's almost like a set from a twisted, mutated Nickelodeon set. With very bright colors, but just once you start looking at it, you realize there's very weird things going on in all this kind of happy land. It's beautiful.
And so when is the exhibition on view through?
The exhibition is on view from today until April 17th.
And there'll be a closing party?
Yes, we are thinking.
Catalog release party?
Yes, we are planning closing party that we will have the catalogs available then that everyone's worked so hard to put together with the content and contributing photographers. Amazing writing from the artists and other members of the community, the street art community. So yeah, we're very excited about that.
That's one thing I wanted to say about the catalog is it was a really important element because it gives each artist the ability to tell their own history. We don't want to tell one monolithic history. We're not saying that this is the history of street art in New York City. We're saying it's a history of street art in New York City, and there's a lot of other things going on, and this is just a start. Please go out and look at everything else and study each artist on their own.
Speaking of history, could you tell us a little bit about the making of this?
This is a historical diagram based on Alfred Barr's diagram. He was the first director of MoMA, and he basically created one called Cubism and Abstract Art, which he summed up all the influences, the groups, Fauvism and Cubism, and then what groups they influence. And that's basically what we tried to do here with this one, is show the influencers on street art and graffiti, and then all the different things that came out of it. It's a lot more complicated because the years are longer and there's a lot more involved, but it's very exciting to us to try and put this together and create some kind of dialogue within the community and culture at large about what this all means at this point.
Yes, we welcome any questions. If you think there's anything missing on there, we're looking forward to writing more about what's missing and what is actually represented here. So that's also going to be part of the catalog.
There'll be an essay about that.
Well, we'd love to talk more about the exhibition, but we're going to move on now in this segment to our official media partner, Brooklyn Street Art. We're really thrilled to have co-founders Jaime Rojo and Steve Harrington here to join us and interview three of the artists in Pantheon. So I'm going to hand over my microphone to you guys.
I am Jaime Rojo, and I'm a co-founder of Brooklyn Street Art with Stephen Harrington, and I'm also the editor of photography, and I'm just so grateful and honored to be part of Pantheon, and I wanted to say thank you to Joyce and Daniel for inviting us to be part of this, and to your mother, Sally, which has been instrumental on this event. She's been very helpful. I met her. And I think that support means a lot. To see that support meant a lot to me because it really is truly grassroots. So that's very exciting.
I'm Steve Harrington, Editor-in-Chief at Brooklyn Street Art. Thank you also to Deborah Anderson for facilitating all of this conversation together today. And it's true. I think the thing that's impressed Jaime and I the most about the Pantheon process has been that it's grassroots. It began with artists understanding and questioning what the graffiti and street art movement has been like, and what kind of mark it's left on our culture over the past 4 decades. And it's been an auspicious beginning today, but really it was a large undertaking that began with a few conversations and really ballooned into a giant project that, who knows where it ends. But we're really glad to have been a part of this, what feels like a grassroots process. And so we have 3 artists that we're speaking to today that are also members of the grassroots process, particularly our first guest, Two Fly, who was active in the very beginning of the 90s when New York City was making a transition from bombing trains to bombing the streets.
Yes.
And I wanted to ask you a little bit about how you first got into bombing the streets.
Okay. Well, again, thank you for having me, and thank you for the whole exhibit. It looks great. The windows look amazing. You guys did a great job, so big ups to you guys. So basically, I'm one of the very first few females in the early 90s who started to get up, tagging, rebelling, but realizing that, among all the graffiti tags, among all the street bombing, it was just like too much letters, too much tags, like there needed to be like an image there. And also being one of the very few females, I wanted to make sure that a female presence was going to be shown. Does it work?
All we need to do is
Oh.
put it like down just a little bit.
Yes. And so I wanted to be one of the females that came up, that people knew was a girl, so I started to paint a character on the walls. And that was my tag. I would tag my name, but I would also tag a female image so that people knew that was a woman that was coming up in the game.
Well, the graffiti game at that point, in the 70s, 80s, and the 90s, was primarily male-dominated.
Yes, very much so. There was, we know Lady Pink from the 70s, and she's like an icon all throughout all these years. And there was a few females that were tagging and bombing the streets.
Right.
But no one was really, like, painting, like, illustrating imagery on the walls, like making street art. It was all just graffiti, like, tag your name, tag your bubble letters, but there was no, like, figurative works.
Right. Do you think it was the female energy influence that allowed more figurative expression on the streets?
I think just little by little, you wanted to stand out among all the graffiti, street bombing, tagging names. So what are you going to do to make it look different?
Yeah.
So that's when some of the artists started to create characters and create little icons and do stencils and wheat paste so that it could look like what was, you didn't want to just be a graffiti writer. Like, what can you do that was different? And so that's when all the different layers started to come up. And really, you started to see that, like, around like the early 90s when everything went above ground, the rooftops, the fences, like, the streets.
Right. Well, that's what a lot of people will point to as kind of a turning point between graffiti and street art through the early 90s. What's also interesting to me is the idea that you've embraced one character, Two Fly, all of this time, and this character has grown with you.
Yes.
What is this, 18 years?
Yeah,
years
since 92. That's when I got my name, so it's been a long time.
Decades.
Yes.
Has been appearing, and she's always been an image of empowerment.
Yes, because she had an attitude, you know, she doesn't look like a total angel, sweet, bubbly, flowery kind of girl. She's like this, like, you know, back in the days, like we call it, it's like a fly girl.
Right, a fly
And
girl.
a fly girl is like, she has attitude, she has style, and, you know, her eyebrows, she looks a little mean. Like, people always thought, like, I was a mean girl because of the way she looked, but total opposite. And just because New York, like, you gotta, like, that's how you represent yourself. So people know that you're talented, you can't be messed with, like, you know, like, this is, like, who you are, and nobody really knows you're all incognito. And that's, like, how you represent yourself on the street.
So she's really a tag.
Yeah, basically. She's just an illustrated tag because I did her over and over and over and over for so many years. And in graffiti, it's like you do your tag over and over and over and over.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about, before we move to talk to Kate, about the Unity Collective, and which is a group of, is it maybe 60 women?
Yes, it's about 60 to 100 women. What happened was, over the years, I've always, once I started painting publicly, I got asked to paint with, you know, murals in different, like, graffiti events, and there were so many women coming up to me because they were able to connect to the character, connect to myself, and I would be very vocal and I would speak to them. And over the years, I met different women artists, and I felt more comfortable painting when there was a woman on the wall with, like, 10 guys.
Right.
So once there was 2 women, and there was like 3 women and 4 women, and next thing you know, we were like getting our own wall and not painting with the guys anymore, because there was always like this weird energy between, like, you know, you felt like not so confident to paint with the guys because they were like, you know, those graffiti dudes. But then afterwards, when it was all women, we were all having a great time and making our own walls. And so that's how it started. It was just 1 here, 2 there, and next thing you know, we built a collective. We started to do our own exhibitions, our own murals on the street, and we just felt more comfortable, and it was more, just more comfortable for the women that felt that they couldn't get into graffiti because they felt intimidated. So we made it more open.
This feeling of community again, rather than a singular pursuit.
And at that time, you know, there's obviously legal artwork going on all the time, but, you know, at public spaces, and when you want to take your time and be there for like 3 days in a huge wall, you obviously want to make sure that, you know, it's something like, you know, you have a permit for the wall and that kind of thing.
Well, I'm really glad that you've been here to give us a little insight to what it's like to be a woman in the scene, and to be there at that time when graffiti was making the transition to street art. And thank you for talking to us. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, guys, and have a great night tonight.
And I think we're going to invite someone else to speak with us now. Kate. Kate is also one of the few women on the scene today in street art, which street art, for as a quick primer, is an evolution from graffiti. And so, Kate, thanks for talking to us for a minute. I appreciate it. And so we were just talking to Two-Ply about the fact that she's one of the few women on the scene during the time that graffiti was turning into street art. And you're finding that it's kind of like that now.
A little bit. There's not a whole lot of girls out there, but the ones that are like pretty kick-ass.
I think you can swear.
Okay.
I don't think this is network television, right? Right, so there aren't that many women on the scene now.
No.
And we were talking earlier about one of the differentiating factors between, one of the factors that influences street art today is a very personal story.
Yeah.
And how you bring your personal stories to the street. Can you talk a little bit about your work?
Well, my subject matter is usually portraits of friends and family. They're obviously something I'm extremely connected to.
Yes.
So I put them on the streets. I kind of like make all this intense work in my studio and work out whatever kind of issues I have with these with them, and then I put them on the street, and I feel this sense of relief.
And these are wheat pastes
Yes.
that you paint.
Yeah, they're painted, hand-painted wheat paste. Yeah.
And they're one of a kind?
Yeah.
So they're not multiples,
No, I don't do multiples.
which I think surprises a lot of people when they see a lot of street artists today will labor so intensively on one piece, and there's no copy of this. You put it out, and the weather,
Yeah.
the elements destroy it, and it's gone.
At first, that used to really kill me.
Did it?
It did. I would get so upset. But now it's more of like a cathartic experience. I'm kind of like, it's okay. It's okay now. It's okay to let it go, let it be destroyed, let it age. I enjoy that now more so than a couple years ago.
So for you, these pieces are so personal. They're usually portraits of people in your family.
Yeah.
You've also incorporated a number of medical drawings into the portraits, and I just wonder where that comes from and why it is that you like it.
Well, one of the main reasons why I work is because it soothes me. So it's like if I'm agitated or upset or whatever, drawing is a way that I'm able to like relax myself and feel better and kind of enjoy life. So when I'm drawing, so one of the things I enjoy drawing is anatomy, and I like the juxtaposition between the anatomy and the emotional kind of way that I draw the figures, and they kind of create a nice balance between hot and cold, or emotion and kind of that cold medicinal feel of medical illustration.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And so that would be the cold, and then the hot
would probably be the emotional connection I feel to my subject matter, and it kind of shows in the work. Or
It does show in the work.
Okay.
It definitely shows in the work. And I think what's interesting to me, and this is the last point I'd like to talk about before we move to Jordan Saylor, is the act of putting it out on the street for you is so personal. Because you talked about letting go.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that? What that is? What are you letting go of when you put it on the street for other people to look at?
I think I'm letting go of. I'm a pretty neurotic person, so I think that like when I'm able to like put it on the street, it's kind of like I'm relinquishing control, and it's kind of a nice therapeutic thing for me to do, because I think when people try to control too much in their lives, that's when they get into trouble,
Okay.
So I think by putting the work on the streets, I'm kind of like, that's my way of relinquishing any, like, trying to hold on too tight. It's kind of like relax.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
Okay.
I don't know. Okay.
No, I think it's great. I think it's terrifically informative for people to understand the personal connection that someone who does put their work on the street has to it.
Yeah. Like my favorite person is my niece, but I'm not ready to put her on the street yet.
Okay.
I'm too protective of her, you know what I mean? So I wouldn't be able to do that right now.
Okay.
But maybe one day when she gets older.
Well, hopefully you'll be doing this for a little while longer.
Hopefully, yeah.
Thank you very much for talking to us.
Thanks for having me.
Okay. And we're going to, in our little segment here, thank you. We're also going to talk to Jordan Saylor, who is also a street artist, and he has undertaken. Hi, Jordan.
Hey, how are you?
Good. He's undertaken large installations in, well, really they're takeovers, they're called.
Yeah.
In New York, Berlin, most recently.
Not Berlin, Toronto, and we just did Madrid.
New York,
Berlin might be next.
So recently,
Madrid, yeah.
And we had talked previously a little bit about drawing back from the whole process, just what's important to you with street art, and you told me it was about the engagement of the public with art.
Yeah, I mean, maybe even not so much with art, but having a public space that people feel comfortable interacting with each other. They feel compelled to interact with each other. Street art happens to be graffiti as well. Happens to be, people going out on the street and using the public space in a way that isn't authorized, it's not expected, and those sorts of kind of non-expected moments create little serendipitous happenings for people that are moments of interaction between people, which is very important, and that compels you, I think, to kind of have other moments of interaction with real people. So, you see a piece, you feel connected to it, it ties you to that space psychologically, physically, gives you a sense of ownership or desire to see that space protected in some way, and then that kind of what follows is other sorts of interactions with your neighborhood and your community.
It really makes me think when you talk about that, which of course is completely true with individuals' experience of seeing art on the street, that Pantheon is that exact thing.
Right.
You're interacting with something that is visible from the street,
right,
in much the same way, and people can engage with one another in a public space to experience it.
Right. I mean, because it's in the windows, I mean, it functions very similarly to a wheat paste on the side of a building where you spend a moment standing in front of it. And because it's a gallery exhibition in that way that's got multiple works, your tendency will be to stand there for longer. And the longer you stand there, the higher the expectation is that you're going to end up talking to somebody who's standing next to you, which is, it's a very good metaphor for kind of the way street work works in general. Street work is just a very small opportunity to create these sorts of interactions, but it's one that's really taken foot, taken hold, and people understand it and they respect it, and so it's a good way to talk about that sort of public dialogue that we're trying to create. But there's so many other ways that this happens.
There really are. I know that you've been very interested in kind of reclaiming public space from advertising,
right,
for people to take more of an active role, having a voice through the creation of art, through the creation of spaces. Can you talk about the project that you've just finished in Madrid?
Well, just very briefly, I mean, one of the things I see is we're trying to create these spaces where social interaction is easy and it's something to be expected. And advertising happens to be one of the kind of visual systems functioning in public space that has a lot of control, right? And ultimately ends up preventing other forms of visual communication from happening, as well as it's a form of one-way communication that isn't dialogue.
Right.
And so that's what I end up trying to target. I think if we can get rid of outdoor advertising, we then put ourselves in a position where the streets can be more open. There's a potential for it. So in Madrid, we went out and asked 106 people to give us their thoughts, their sentiments. It could be one word or a story or whatever. Because it was text, it allowed not only artists, but sociologists, teachers, lawyers, all sorts of people who deserve a voice or the opportunity to speak in public. And we basically broke into 106 bus shelters in Madrid, replaced the advertisements with these public sentiments. There were no names, logos, websites. It was purely just...
It was all text-based.
It was all text-based. So, artists like, Spoon were asked to give just their thoughts. And that was something kind of completely different for a lot of artists. And then other people like sociologists, where their work is often in the written form, it made more sense to them. But everybody then gets lumped together, and you don't see who are the artists, who are the the thinkers. It's exactly, and about creating opportunities for people to talk to one another, and even if it's just a poster, it's still somebody there.
I understand. Well, I'm glad that you spent some time dialoguing. It's not supposed to be a verb, but it turned into one magically. And thank you. I know it's a brief period of time, but thank you so much for talking to us about your project. And so I think Brooklyn Street Art's part of the show is coming to an end. We want to thank you again.
But you guys are still hanging out, right, for the reception? Thank you so much for being our partner, official media partner for Pantheon.
It's really our pleasure, and it's our pleasure to celebrate the creative spirit wherever it goes.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And I don't know what's coming next.
Well, what is next is we actually have a film that, or video that Joyce and Daniel took just earlier today. Very quickly, a walkthrough of the exhibition, so everyone can now view the space. Even we're off location from the exhibition, so this video is a short clip tour, correct?
That's right.
Okay.
So. Welcome to Pantheon, a history of art from the streets of New York City. My name is Joyce Manalo.
And my name is Daniel Farrell. We are the co-curators of the exhibit.
We are here located on West 53rd Street between 5th and 6th Avenue across from the MoMA. We're going to take you through a quick live tour of the exhibition, and it's for viewers who can't make it to the exhibition. So bear with us while this is going to be running. Okay.
Okay, so this is LSD Ohm, Freedom, John Ahern, Richard Hambleton, Ellis Gallagher, Cat.
Okay, and in this wall we have John Fechner and Don Light. Then we have Stickman on the right. On top we have the newer artists, Van Siren on top left, Q-Fly, and Dark Cloud. And over here we have a crew called Endless Love Crew, and one of the artists, well, four of the artists from the Endless Love Crew are Infinity, Abe Lincoln Jr., Roy Spannon, and El Celso. So now we're going to run across the entrance. Well, not the entrance, but where our signage is. And this is the diagram, the Farrell diagram of graffiti and street art, and we were going through the influence of the past and how it has morphed into what graffiti and street art is now.
On this wall we have another crew that we're featuring in the catalog called ADHD. And this is Grosser, Farrow, and Avoid Pie. And this is he's separate from ADHD. He's a sculptor. His street name is Voodoo. A symbol that's really important to him is also infinity. And he's created this kinetic sculpture that it makes an infinity shape. When it spins, it's out of a bike. And it's not running right now.
And the second to last wall, we have on top, Over Under. To the right of that cake. To the right of that, top right is Tell B. Bottom here is Cassius Fowler and Jordan Seiler and Noj Coley.
And our final wall is another featured crew, one of the most long-running, respected graffiti crews in the city. They have a very different style, kind of like an outsider style, a lot of cartoony stuff, very well respected and never touched on the street. But you can see here they have a lot of fun. This is a UFO character coming down. This is a Goya, and that's a Sadu up there. You can see his lettering up on top. That's Droid. Over on the side is Rastafari character. And that's Gen 2. And that's it.
Okay. So we want to thank all the Kickstarter supporters and our partners and our sponsors for being involved in such a huge project. I mean, we couldn't have done this without you. And it's gotten a lot bigger than we expected it to be. So thank you for being a huge part of it and making it happen.
Yes, thank you very much. Appreciate all of you pitching in, creating this event. Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, that was amazing. You guys just did that a couple hours ago, and I guess people seeing that on the internet right now can be a lot excited about going to see it in person, because just from seeing that little clip, it's really outstanding. You said some of the artists were working on the pieces since February.
Right. 907 crew has been in their studio, 6 of them, hours and hours, and after midnight even, cutting and using foam, sound materials, and just creating it's a 6-panel piece basically. So, and they've installed it for three days straight.
So just the address again for people that don't yet know.
Right. The exhibition is located on 20 West 53rd Street between 5th and 6th Avenue. And it's at the former Donna Library space, which is a Chashama Alternative Art space.
Mm-hmm. And it's right across from MoMA.
Yes, across from MoMA.
Great. So our next segment is going to be talking about the catalog, the exhibition catalog. We have Luna Park with us and Becky Fuller, both contributing photographers. So please introduce yourselves and tell us a bit about your collaboration on the works that you included in the catalog and why you think photographing street art as a process and archiving is really an important part of this particular exhibition, A History of New York Street Art. And I think as we're talking, we're also going to have a slideshow of your photographs as well.
You want to take the microphone? So I'm Luna Park. This is
Becky Fuller.
And technical difficulties aside, between the two of us, we have over 10 years of experience shooting the street. So I think we were both really excited to be included in this project because it is a historical moment, and it's exciting because the artists themselves are creating a tangible history in the form of a catalog. Because, as we know, most of the art, it's on the street and then it's gone again. So if it weren't for photographs or catalogs or other tangible items, there'd be no record of this art form left for for people that want to research or document or follow the history of this art movement.
Mm-hmm. I agree. No, I mean, one of the great things for me as far as working on the catalog was that it really gave me an opportunity to try to showcase some of the great things about artists that I really love. I got to do some interviews with people who I've been friends with, whose art I've really appreciated for so many years. And, I hope it opens up other people to appreciate some of the things that, I may already know about them or, actually sometimes learn some things too. So that was a really great opportunity. And there were a couple people. I did interviews, I did a studio visit with people that are just real icons, legends in the scene, and it was really amazing to have them open up to share, whether it was words or their home, and really to be able to share that with the people who are interested in the catalog, interested in the exhibition. It just really expands on it. You can walk by, you can love what you see in the library windows, but this just takes it up several notches that you can actually learn so much about all of these different artists and the rich history that street art has and graffiti, especially graffiti, really.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of the artists that are in the exhibition haven't had this degree of exposure. Their histories are being written down for the first time. So it's exciting to have that be part of a lasting record, and have it be something tangible other than, the exhibition will come and go, but the catalog will exist as a record indefinitely.
Curious about your thoughts on archiving your work online. You run a blog, and in addition to this catalog, how are you sharing these works beyond the catalog as well?
Well, I mean, with the advent of social media, it's become a lot easier to share work. I mean, I think street art especially has come to maturity in the age of social media. So you have sites like Flickr and Tumblr,
the street spot,
our blog, Twitter. I mean, all of these channels for communicating with the outside world have really sort of sped up the process by which, I can walk down the street, take a picture, post it online, and then broadcast it out to the world and have it be seen instantaneously. And that just didn't exist 10 years ago. So the social media also allows artists to collaborate, get in touch with each other in a way that also wasn't possible. And there'll be a record of it.
Joyce, would you mind just letting us know when we can see the catalog, when it will be released? And I think you said it's 250 pages of awesomeness or something.
Well, now since now that everyone's been contributing and this project getting much larger than we've expected, it's now gone up to over 300 pages, and so we can't. It's hard to stop.
The picture of each piece of art at the end. We're taking very high-end pictures of artwork, so there'll be a really nice record of the work too.
Right. So
The exhibition will be in the book.
it'll be in the book, and we're going to show you a preview of those artworks actually after this segment. But it'll be. We are still organizing the end of the exhibition, like for the closing party and the catalog release party will be the same event. And we may have some more programming involved in that as well, but stay tuned. Everything happens really fast here at Pantheon.
Well, thank you so much, Becky and Tim, for joining us and sharing your thoughts. We're really looking forward to seeing your catalog and your work. And I think we just want to say a thanks as a conclusion to our program for all of the partners involved, advisory committee, curators, Joyce and Daniel, Brooklyn Street Art, Watchitude for interactive streaming tonight, which has been great. And that we can go to Pantheon NYC for all of the updates for people to learn more about the artists, to explore the show, which is open to the public, and to capture it in their own way. Do you have any kind of blog, or are you open to dialogue with the community?
Well, actually earlier this week, I talked to Jordan Seiler about putting together a project which will engage the viewers a little bit more. And since his work is largely about engaging the public, it's going to ask certain questions about people's notions on public space and the usage of public space. So we were discussing that it's going to be a question, and those questions would be answered, and it would also Twitter them. We'll Twitter people's responses.
And when is this taking place?
This will be taking place most likely next week.
Okay. And the closing party is, we don't know yet. The 15th or 16th, around there.
The 17th, the end of the exhibition is on the 17th, and we have to secure space. So
Great.
yes, anyone come and support and be a partner with us.
Well, congratulations, Joyce and Daniel, and all of the contributors
Thank you.
on an amazing show.
Special thanks to Culture Shock Marketing.
Yes. Oh yes.
And watch it too.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you,
This was really
Deborah.
fun. Thank you. So we're going to continue our reception.